Hello, folks. Good evening, good afternoon, whatever it may be, early afternoon perhaps. Welcome. Monday. Today is Monday, September 15th, Techthusiasm Live podcast. Hanging out here. Got the streak alive, still going. We only missed the Labor Day, but this time is working and having a lot of fun on these lives. So I appreciate everybody spending the time coming out, checking out the video, hanging out, asking questions, interacting, engaging, and all of that. So it's been it was a good week here. Good week here. I hope everybody else had a good week as well. Busy weekend with family, mostly with family and friends. Some nice time with my parents and the in-laws. Daughter's soccer season is formally started. Watched some soccer this weekend. A lot of time with my son playing the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles Splintered Fate game. We've technically beat it, but I think we got a little bit more. We're going to grind out all the upgrades and stuff and try to do the super hard roguelite run before we finish that off and move on to another game. Didn't watch a whole lot of stuff. Haven't been down here. No movies still in the past week. But keeping up to date on Peacemaker Season 2. Enjoying that. And then my son and I, a little bit of watching. We did some, we've been watching the 90s X-Men cartoon. I want to get into X-Men 97 with him. So we're doing the whole slog through all of those cartoons. So definitely some better episodes than others. But anyway, did that and then spent some time off the tech as well, reading some comics as usual, playing some Marvel Champions and all of that. So it was good. Back to some summer weather here as well, sweating already, 80-degree days through the weekend and I think through the bulk of this week before hopefully real fall sets back in again. So let me know, post some comments. Let me know who's out there, what's going on, what have you been doing in your entertainment systems, what have you been doing in life, how are things going? I hit my 250th workout on the tonal as well. That was pretty cool. So we've had it since I think roughly July of last year. So doing the rough math, I'm on it at least more than every other day, more frequently than every other day. Definitely a little bit less in the last maybe 6 months compared to the first several months, but still doing an awesome program there. Precision shred. It's a tough one. That's one I can't do that one on consecutive days, but digging it, trying to get on there with my son as well, at least a few times a week also. So yeah, having fun with that, trying to stay healthy, eat well, sleep well, all those things. Say hi to some of the regulars and the friends here. Julius, hello. Srin, hello. Chintaput, hello. Bruno, hello. I'm sure some others will come along as we go. So if anybody has questions, any topics that you kind of want to hit, not a whole lot, I think, going on in tech in the last week. Of course, I guess we did have the Apple event just after last week's live stream, and there was no Apple TV. So kind of as expected. I was not really expecting to see an Apple TV. I think the predictions from last week, ultimately, I think we were discussing this a little bit, but the idea of this past Apple event focusing on the phone, the watch, and the AirPods was the right call, and that's exactly what we got out of it. So I did see some rumoring that like Apple has 10 more product announcements in the pipeline. Their pipeline for 10 more product announcements, which will probably include. I'm not sure how far that goes, though. I would guess that's probably between now and maybe the springtime. And that'll encompass all of the regular stuff. Of course, there'll be some new iPads, there'll be some new Macs, MacBook Pros, MacBook Airs, all that stuff. A lot of that stuff will come in October. And so that's where I'm hanging my expectation on potentially for the next Apple TV. I'll say October now. I'm pretty hopeful that we may get one. I'm still not expecting much by the way of pass through and all of that. The versions, I think all the versions of the 26 OSs rolled out today. I think it was today. Today's the 15th. I was on the developer roadmap anyway, so my phone, my iPad, my Mac, and my Apple TVs have always been running developer versions. And I think it got the release candidate a few days ago, if I recall correctly. So yeah, no pass through. I probably will have to I'll make an tvOS 26 video just showing off a couple of the features and things that made it into the final. I think the liquid glass stuff looks fine. We looked at it all here when the developer update had come out to begin with, but I think on the Apple TV is probably one of the best places where the liquid glass thing kind of looks the best. But there's not a whole lot of, I don't think there's a whole lot of like meat and or like structure or super high value to the tvOS 26 update, and the pass through is there's no hint nor semblance anywhere of whatever that feature may end up being in some regard. So we will wait, maybe in a point release, maybe in the future. I don't discount the fact that that some reference to pass through and things like that I believe it was truly discovered. It's not a lie, it's not a false rumor. But whether that materializes into something actually tangible, we'll see. Who knows? Welcome, Stephen, as well. Srin, did you buy anything from Apple? Wow, you got it all, man. Phone, watch, and AirPods. I did not end up buying anything. Um, I'm really probably overdue in many ways to upgrade my watch. I would like to have a watch with an always on face because when I work out, I like to glance at it. I like to see my heart rate and stuff like that. And it's a pain when it doesn't wake up and I have to touch it to get the information that I want. So, if no other reason than that, I would be inclined to want to get a new Apple Watch at some point. And my daughter, I think, is interested in getting one. So, I'll just buy the new one. I'll give her my old one and she can wear it when she runs, and if she wants to wear it during practice and the things that she does, she could. um it's just not really worth a whole lot to me otherwise. Like, I don't wear my Apple Watch regularly. I don't wear it daily. I'll wear it like if we're on vacation sometimes. I'll wear it to work out. I'll wear it if we go on a walk or we go biking. Like, workout stuff is really my primary use case for it. um I'm not an AirPods Pro user. I like the regulars, not the Pro. So I'm content to stay with the regular models, and I already have the last current version that came with the active noise cancellation and stuff like that. So I'm happy with those. And then the phone, I'm on a 3-year upgrade cycle. So my last phone was the iPhone 13 Pro Max. Um, I upgraded, traded in this, traded in my 13 Pro Max for the 15 Pro Max, and at AT&T, and the credits are on a 3-year cycle. So if I wanted to upgrade to the 17, I would have to pay about $400 out of pocket right now in order to pay this phone off in its entirety, then own it to be able to trade it in and go forward from there. And I don't think the 17 is worth it to me to do that. So as of right now, I think I'm content to stick it out for the remainder of that contract, and I'll just stick with it for another year. I think though, maybe next fall when I do upgrade this one out, I will. I think I will do the AT&T Next Up and just upgrade my phone every year, and that way I can make some content about it maybe, and be a little bit more current on probably the most prolific piece of technology in all of our hands, right? All of our lives is our phones. So I just don't think it's worth it to do it for me right now. Nobody else in the family is due for any upgrades anytime soon. Um, so my wife's on the same 3-year plan. So she'll definitely get an 18. She doesn't need any earlier upgrades. She doesn't need the next up. I think my daughter is on a 16E now, which is fine for her for the foreseeable future. And then my son, technically, he doesn't have a cell phone. He has like an old iPhone SE that's Wi-Fi only, and he just uses it for audiobooks and music. It's not, and to text with us specifically. It's not an full internet, openly connected cellular device for him. So he's got a ways to go before we would be turning that on in that regard. So yeah, I'll stick it out. Wait till October, and we'll see what happens. So Apple, conceivably, right now, Apple is not costing me any money this September. Let me know as well. Sound off in the comments. Did you buy anything? Did you upgrade your iPhones? Or were you attracted to anything that they show? So where I am spending money is what I was conceiving kind of the main topic to kind of use on for today was the living room project. So I did one of the things this past weekend. I did spend some time on. I did interact with the contractor that came out, quoted the project, and that um, I'm intending to go with. It's not formally scheduled yet, but I am. I gave him a verbal acceptance of the bid for the project. And so the next thing after that, which was waiting on me, was to come up with some of the specific details of the design change and stuff that we needed that we wanted to affect in the living room rebuild. And that led me. So this last weekend, I spent some time. I was taking some measurements, and I was kind of figuring out some of those details specifically that I wanted to have done there. And that led me even to a little bit more of like thinking about the additional ramifications, not just the stuff that the contractor needs to do, But what are all of my goals and kind of like measures of success for what I want to try to accomplish in the living room project? And that also spins off into some ideas of like, should I change up any of the equipment? Should I change where the equipment is located and stuff like that? So let's muse on this a little bit. I'll kind of lay out the project. Once I get back in touch with him, we get committed. We'll get a date on the calendar. I hope that maybe within September or certainly within October is the time frame to getting the physical work done. And then over the course of the physical work, the thing being opened, I have to do a bunch of rewiring and structural work behind the scenes, in the framing and behind the drywall, or what would be behind the drywall while it's all open. And then they'll come back, they'll close it up, they'll drywall, paint, trim it out, everything. And then I'll be able to put the new speakers in, put the Utopias in, work towards potentially the TV upgrade and some stuff like that. So I've been musing on a few things. And again, this project goes all the way back, of course, to really the beginning of the year. Actually, if you go back on the channel, I started 2025 with like, what are some of my goals, project goals, and whatnot for the year, and it laid this plan out. So of course, the channel has grown a lot over the year and lots of new folks. And so again, this is going to be, I'm planning to kind of log out the whole thing, as we go forward with the project. And so we'll treat this kind of discussion, this live stream, as a basis for kind of springboarding into that and setting the expectation for the content. So, and I didn't actually I needed to go take a picture of kind of what things look like right now, but minus minus some of the decor um, changes and stuff like that. This is what we're looking at in that room there. Let me see. Actually, I think these are, yeah, these a little bit nicer of a picture here. So, of course, we have the bump out in this this wall. This room is like, I want to say it's about 19 feet wide, give or take. The whole bump out here is about 122 inches wide. So roughly about 10 feet, with another like 5 feet or so, I think. Yeah, 50-ish inches. Well, maybe a little bit less than that, actually. About 4 or 5 feet here on either side from the bump out to the exterior wall. The whole thing only extends out not that far. It's only about 8 inches or so deep, I think, is the protrusion into the room. But then, of course, on the upper sections are slanted forward, because way back, and I don't think okay, I do actually, way back, this was the audio setup in the room. This is going all the way back to like 2016 now. There were a couple or three triad speakers up above the television where the TV was hanging. These are the subwoofers that are still in there now, the 10-inch triad bronze in-wall subwoofers. And so this is how things were structured, and we angled this upper section so that these speakers kind of angled themselves down to the couch. This is terrible. I don't recommend this ever to anybody. Don't do it like this. Just to get a center channel, this really doesn't work. It's not good. Go with a phantom center and just put your stuff like around your television. This works so much better. So along the way, we tried to fix this, and we brought the speakers down, kind of improved the experience, took the multi-channel out of the room, and that's how things kind of sat for a good long while. Just used the same triad silver speakers that we had, the bronze speakers, but then of course we started to build the theater downstairs and got into the Focal brand, and so we moved forward into moving over to these Focal IW LCR6 speakers, much taller, and then still keeping the subwoofers, so it's a 2.2 setup in there. But of course, now I have the Utopias, and things just don't fit the way that I want them to. If the space here between the trim, and there's actually a header, a piece of the framing in the wall right here that doesn't let me go up into this channel, and it's angled forward anyway, so I couldn't go higher if I wanted to. But the total height of the Utopia subwoofer plus the Utopia speaker is going to fill this cavity, give it a couple inches of clearance probably at the bottom, and then it's going to go up past the opening of the television a little bit. And so it doesn't fit. It needs to be reframed. And then in my infinite wisdom, I kind of arbitrarily chose the television cubby size. I'm not sure based on what, I guess. I don't remember originally going way back to when we built the house 2012, the architectural design and all of that. But suffice to say, I'm like inches. It's a game of inches to be able to fit up to now what we have on the market, of course, 98, 97-inch televisions. The cubby of the TV inset is about just under 85 inches wide and about 51 and 3/4 inches high, 51 and a half, 51 and 3/4 inches wide, and like 84 and 3/4, sorry, 51 and a half high, 84 and 3/4 inches wide. And if we look at some of these televisions, let's see, an LG 97-inch, G whatever, the G2, 4, and 5 are all the same. That television is 84.85 inches wide, 1/10 of an inch short of being able to push the television into the cubby. The height's fine though. A 97-inch LG is 48, let's figure 48 and a half inches tall. They would give me 3 inches of clearance, an inch and a half above and below. If we look at some of the other sets though, like Sony, a 98-inch Bravia 5 is 86.62 inches wide. So you're going to want at least like 86 and 3/4. TCL is 85, 85 and a half, 85 and 3/4 inch wide. So those televisions wouldn't fit. And they're also much deeper. Those televisions, the TCL 98 QM8K is like 2.2 inches deep to the LG's 1.1. And the Sony, man, the Sony is a whopping 3.37 inches deep. So if I want to be able to, one, get rid of the goofy now angled forward section that has no reason to be angled forward, and because it's angled forward, you can't hang stuff up there. You can't put a shelf on the wall and put something, decor or anything up there. Get rid of that. Be able to accommodate the height of the Utopia speaker stack, and get up to one of these more contemporarily larger televisions. The whole thing needs to be reframed. So that's the goal. The goal of what we're trying to accomplish in there. So let me go back to my photos here. And that's not work that I'm going to do. Basically, it's work that I would want to contract out, do it right, do it well. There's the demo. I'll take the current electronics out, and I'll manage that stuff, of course. But I would like somebody to come in professionally, demo it, and however it's going to be, whether they adjust the framing that's in there, they take the entire framing out and they just reframe the whole wall to the new dimensions, get everything back in there structurally, then let me get in there, run the wires and stuff like that. And then it needs to be trimmed, drywalled, mudded, painted, and all of that sort of stuff. And that's not something I have the time or the aptitude to do it as nice as a pro person would do it. So here's a look at what's going on right now there behind the television. This is from when the LG was removed from the wall in order to change the power board inside there. So we have this knockout here. There's actually 4 Ethernet drops that go back to the switch down in the storage room here. There is a 2 outlet plug in here. There's an opening cavity to get wires through. Of course, the mount for the television. And you can see I've tore this up and painted it and changed some things around here a number of times. It's behind the television, so as long as it's dark and it's the black brown color, it didn't really matter. But I've done some cheap kind of mudding and sanding jobs over some other things that were back here. I still have some LED light strips up here. Never use these things. I actually prefer not to use them. I don't think that it works very nicely in the way that you can kind of see around the television. It just illuminates everything behind it. The backlight thing never really worked for me. The switch is on a wall mount in its dock. The Apple TV is in a wall mount. This other wall mount was up here to hold like a video game console. If I wanted to go that way, I thought at one point in time I would be able to do a small form factor PC build and put it in here, but that didn't work out at all. I covered that on the channel. Had a PlayStation 5 in here a couple different times, but as it is, these are just kind of brackets. So all this stuff needs to come down, and then in conjunction with the rebuild, that will sort itself out. Well, I'll get to some of my thoughts about the equipment and kind of where it might go, stuff like that in a minute. I'm going to go back up to the top here. So the very original pictures, yeah, this is the great one. So this is the framing, of course. This is what we're dealing with behind all of that, behind the drywall. So we can see how these sections up here kind of angle forward. We have a header. I call it a header. A cross piece of framing. This is the one that's getting in the way of the channel, right? In order to put the taller Utopias in there. This board is not there. They had just put that one in. I'm not exactly sure why that got removed. That's not behind the drywall now, of course, because there's a subwoofer in that cavity. There's a big hole knocked out in the bottom to get all of this cabling, of course, goes down kind of through the top of the walls and then down and across into our storage room. So these Ethernet cables. There's some coax back there, a lot of speaker cables. Some of this stuff has also been pulled out. You can also see the way actually Mr. Dan DiCarlo at AudioVision ran a lot of this stuff. There's a couple of Ethernet drops over here, 3 or 4 of them to be specific, I think. Those kind of come up through here and go across. I do have existing speaker wire pulled in here. You can see there's a drop. This is for the original speaker configuration, one for the left, one for the center, one for the right, and then here's the subwoofer cable. Here's the other subwoofer cable. I would like to get a beefier pull of speaker wire going, and I don't need all of it, of course. I just need uh, two or 4. Actually, we'll talk about that in a minute when we kind of talk through the gear a little bit. But one of the things that we talked about potentially doing here as well was framing the whole thing a little bit deeper, which would be nice if for some reason I wanted to go with like a TCL QM8K to save the money. It's a 2-inch deep television. At the current depth, that television would kind of hang visibly out of the cubby a bit. So instead of going this depth, we might actually go more this depth. So rather than kind of cutting this straight, we might reframe the whole thing and bring the whole thing out that much more deeper, which would make the TV cavity deeper, and it would make it better able to encapsulate a deeper set without it looking potentially goofy or kind of having the wrong fit and finish to it all. So there's that possibility on the table as well. Of course, there's plywood back here, which made it really easy to hang and mount everything. Didn't have to worry about hanging stuff and hitting studs. This was a really great idea. I do intend to replicate this, and then over the plywood, I think we basically just drywalled and then painted. But we'll probably take all of this down, and then when the new cubby is built, similarly fill the back end of it in with the plywood, and then do drywall and stuff all on the face of it. We were talking, he proposed it, the contractor proposed it, like we could do built-ins, we could do other things up top. Not sure we're going to do that. I think we just need the flat wall section, and then if we want to put our own shelves up or just hang pictures, photos, whatever it may be up there, then we would be able to do that. So, and I think my quote was 5,700 for all the work. Again, that's the complete demo, the complete reframing, and then all of the buttoning up, fit and finish, drywall, mudding, painting, retrimming, and making sure the flooring connects the way it's supposed to, the ceiling connects the way it's supposed to, and everything should be good to go. Because there's a couple things I'm not sure how we work around. If we look at this was framed in before the floor went in. Right before the floor went in. So if we were to bring this out a couple of inches, we would have to remove a little bit of the flooring here, which I'm sure can kind of be cut back. If we look as well, it also went in, of course, before the drywall went in. So if we were to bring the top back, we're going to have to bring the drywall potentially back. We'll reuse the same trim. I think we have some of the lower trim, so if we need a longer piece for the side, I'm pretty sure we have that left over from the building materials all this time. Don't know if I have any more of the top trim, but if we're pushing the top back, the top trim can get cut. The front piece can stay, get put back up. The side pieces can get cut back, But I think we will go deeper. I think going deeper does make a lot of sense here and opens up more flexibility to be able to do more with the space and choose different televisions and not be concerned about really only being kind of restricted to a very thin television. If we go back through some of these styles, let's see, 20. I'm not sure. These are definitely some older TVs. This is not. Yeah, this is the Sony. Oh, I forget what model this was, but we did have some deeper televisions in there in the past, and it really wasn't that bad. But I think the best looking television that we've ever had in there. I think this is the Vizio, 75-inch Vizio that we started with, and then we went to an 85-inch Sony. I forget the model number now, and then up to today. I think that's still the Sony. Let's go to more contemporary picture. Yeah, that's the LG. That's the LG G2 83-inch. But because that television is only 1 and 1/10 inch deep, it fits so much nicer. So we go a little bit deeper, we can be able to put in other sets and it'll work out nicer. So let's see, just want to make sure I get comments as I go because I'm not when I'm talking and I'm showing the pictures, I got the Apple Photos app on my screen and I can't see the chat. So I want to make sure that I answer the questions. See a couple comments about the phones. Awesome. Oop, here, Sigmund. Looks good. Have you thought about following the trend of having the TV hidden in some way when it's not in use? Yeah, pretty imposing at that size. The 97-inch, 98-inch will get even more imposing. But my wife she hasn't rebelled. She hasn't drawn a line against this. So we set a goal for this room when we built it that we wanted the fireplace to be the focal point. The reality is like this room has three focal points to it. I don't know if any of the pictures that I have show the back wall. I may not have any picture. Oh no, right here. So we have the wall with the fireplace and the ledge brick and all of that, the limestone, uh, uh, hearth or whatnot, and then the mantle up here, which is some reclaimed lumber. The back is all these bookshelves. So these are all built in, custom built-ins and stuff, loaded with books and games and art things, most kids stuff mostly. So like there's really three focal points. This is a focal point. The bookshelves really stand out as a focal point. And no matter what, the television wall kind of stands out as a focal point. One of the things that we did try to do with it though is like we didn't give it a different finish. It's the same, it's drywalled, it's trimmed, and it's painted the same color as the rest of the walls. Granted, there's not that really many walls in this room. Um, but still, that was one of the ways that we tried to mitigate that standing out as much. But I'm not intending to do anything to try to hide it away. Um, it's been this way for over a decade, and I think to me it can just stay. It can stay the way it is. And I haven't. She's been involved, of course. My wife has been involved in what do we want to change the design? What do we want to change? How do we want to do it? And she's never requested to hide away the television. I think that would really just add more to the cost and complexity. I think even too by trying to hide it, probably making something else, you're probably making it more of a focal point than it would want to be otherwise. If you put some like doors over it or something like that, you're still going to be drawn. Your eyes are still going to be drawn to it 'cause it's going to be big no matter what. Julius, do you get any window vibrations from in-wall subwoofers? Not really on the windows, but if this room really cranks, you really crank up the volume and you really get a bass heavy movie, what I do here is the gutters. So both of these are of course are exterior walls because they're windows. So we have two exterior walls, one interior wall, and then the backside wall is open to our like kitchen and dining area. And so these exterior walls, there's also this is like the only room of our house. This is the main floor. It's the only room of our house that does not have a second story above it. So it just has roof line. Um, our architect, we chose that because we wanted to bring some like dynamicness to the look of the house. So there's no second story above this room, which means that there's gutters up along the exterior here. And a lot of base energy transfers through these walls and shakes the aluminum of the gutter. Drives it that drove me nuts for a while. Nowadays, now I just kind of ignore it because we don't use the room for like that, right? If we want to go super loud, engaged movie, bass heavy, we come down here to the theater space. But yeah, um, that there's definitely is some of that rattling noise and stuff that gets in there. But what are you doing with your G2? I'll sell it locally is what would be my expectation. I don't have a need to keep it. I think there's nowhere else in the house that it would go. We're not doing any kind of additional hangout space, additional additional type of game space in the basement yet. Um, so yeah, I'll probably sell it, get whatever I can out of it to offset the cost of whatever television would go in there to replace it. Um, and hopefully just go for a local seller, somebody that's willing to come pick it up and don't have to worry about shipping it, sending it anywhere. Srin saying you should install a strong in-wall box so that power and network cables are all in area. Oh, and if you did, the LG G5 would be nice and flat to the wall. So, um, yeah, I see what you're saying. Like technically speaking, what's already there does it is in the wall behind the television. If we go back to there's one of those pictures where I had, yeah, right. So this is inset into the wall. I've liked having this. I'd liked having the ability to put stuff behind the TV. So having some clearance available behind the television to put stuff back there has been nice. And I would have even considered actually putting, I could wall mount a Kaleidoscape Strato back there, and then all my sources except for the PC now would be able to go back there. That's one of the ways, one of the reasons it would be so nice to not be a PC gamer, because the PlayStation 5 would have fit in here, the Strata would have fit in here, would have kept the Switch, had the Apple TV, four sources. That's all I need. Everything would have fit behind the television. I have power, I have Ethernet drops, and of course, everything just plugs directly into the television via HDMI. Um, so what you're suggesting would solve some of the depth problems as well, because the TV would be further set back. But the other thing too, I like having the articulated mount here, being able to pull this thing out. So I'm okay with a heavier, dutier mount that because I change stuff around, I mess with stuff, things things change. I buy new things, tweak stuff out, whatever it may be. Um, this mount has been awesome. Being able to pull this mount out and move the TV out to the side. I think here this is the G. Yeah, that's the LG hanging on it. I can get behind it. I can access all the plugs, like all the cables, change things as I need to. So I like this setup versus trying to get more of a flush wall mount out of it. We have had to move this a couple of times. So from this is I think these holes here, this is where it was when we had the Sony, and then when we got the LG, it needed to get lowered based on where like the mounting pattern was on the TV and stuff. So that's yeah, it's a good idea, but I think the flexibility of this serves me pretty well. All right. So yeah, so that's it. I got to get on the schedule. We get it booked up. And definitely the speaker setup will change immediately. I have everything that I need basically for the new audio setup. If I were to remount the LG, if I were to remount the G2, it's not the end of the world to me. I'm okay putting the G2 back up for a while, especially as I kind of puzzle through the decision of what set to buy. So we may still be running the G2 in the rebuilt room for some period of time. I'm not sure how long exactly that may be, but if that happens, so I'm okay with that. But the I will be selling both of the in-wall triad subs. I'll sell them with the rack amps that go with them. Try to sell them as if I can sell both rack amps and both subs as one singular combo to somebody. That's awesome. Great. I have the boxes for everything. So these I could ship if I need to, if it's local, cool. If I have to break them up, I will want to keep the subwoofer and the rack amp most likely together. And then these speakers will get sold as well. So the pair Focal IWLCR6s will sell. I probably will try to sell those as a pair also. Same thing. I keep the boxes for everything, so or pretty much everything. So I have the boxes, all the accessories. They'll be just like brand new. Sell them hopefully as a pair to somebody. I can ship them if I need to. If it's local, great. But those will be all set. So so then in terms of the changes, actually, then what I was surmising. Let's go back to one of these other pictures. Yeah, this is a good one. So what I'm surmising is like if I look at some of the dimensioning here, these sections that the speakers are in. Get a little bit closer up. These sections are about 19 inches wide, and there's about 3.5 inches on either side of these speakers. So I don't actually have a lot of room to change stuff out or mess around with here, because you also have to figure that to the left and right of this speaker, right, is a 2 by whatever board plus the drywall. Uh, and I'm not sure what we have, half inch or 3/4 inch drywall. So there's not a lot of space to actually condense this. As it turned out, this subwoofer probably sits in that wall real close to the minimum spec of the subwoofer itself. On the Focals, we have a little more room to deal with. But my intention ultimately, and again, this is 85 across here and about 51, 52 vertical. So I think I'm going to leave the top section the same vertical height and just steal an inch from each side, from the inside. So this wall will move 1 inch left, and from this point, this will move 1 inch right. So we'll have 18 inches wide. The speakers will still fit in there, nice and snug, and then we'll move from about 85 inches wide to 87 inches wide, and the Sony Bravia 5, the TCL, right, 85 to 87. Actually, no, you don't shoot. I need to go even bigger than that. It'll fit the G. I think ultimately, I will probably not consider. I probably will push all the way to the 97-inch G series television. I've been debating this a little bit anyway, but I think it's still the best television, to be honest. Whether I try to find an old G2 or G4 or a G5, or I wait long enough and maybe there's a G6, or just wait till the G6 and then buy the G5 when it goes on full closeout. These are expensive televisions, so I'm going to try to do whatever I can in some type of an advantaged way. But given the LG is 85 inches wide, the depth fits nicely. Like everything just lines up better with that set. Um, the the other ones, I'm sorry, the other ones, they would fit, but it'll be tighter. So the TCL 85.6, if I go to 87 wide, it fits. The Sony 86.62, if I go to 87, it just barely fits. The Sony would probably almost scrape. The LG will have a couple inches of clearance on the left and the right, which would be nice to be able, if I need to be able to grab it, pull it out, whatever. But I can grab it on the top and the bottom as well. There'll be a couple inches of clearance above and below. I may also go a little bit higher with the opening. Maybe I'll add an inch or two, depending on, I need to do the math of like how tall is the Focal Utopia subwoofer plus speaker stack when they're integrated together. And then if I leave myself like 2 inches or so, 3 inches off the bottom, how high does it actually go on the wall? And if it goes a little higher than the TV opening, I think that's probably okay. Um, yeah, Samsung has the 115. Yeah, 115 would not fit. So I won't be able to go bigger than 97, 98 ultimately. Um, there's nowhere else to take the width from. I need the width to fit the speakers, and I can't compress the speakers anymore. If I were to go from a 98 to a 115, it wouldn't work. It wouldn't work. And 97 will be big enough anyway. I don't feel the need to go 115 in here. I probably would not get the spousal acceptance factor to do anyway, to go that big. 97. I haven't heard any complaints or negative feedback, constructive criticism about 97, because fundamentally 97 is already only just about filling the cubby that we already have. It's not pushing the envelope and trying to go crazy bigger. So, yeah, so we confirm some of these dimensions. I need to make the final determination on the depth, and then we get this thing moving. So the other thing that I was working on, the other really big decision actually that comes with this is, what do I do with the equipment? And what am I going after in terms of the equipment? So let me share a browser window, and we'll talk through some of this. So you will see these guys on the channel coming up as they do the work. We've already talked about it when he came to quote it. Like, hey, I have this channel. I do this thing. I'm actually doing this. The whole reason I'm doing this is, part of it, it's for me as well, etc. But it's a business engagement. Being able to have these demo spaces and grow the footprint of what I'm using and what I have to be able for people to come over and experience, right? It's all part of the channel. So the channel is driving a lot of this. But yeah, so this is the guy, Brian Mitter. If you're in Southeast Michigan, we'll see how everything goes with them kind of doing the work. All right. So I was looking around. I did want to verify, okay, what's available, what's on the market right now when it uh, comes to these larger format televisions. And I pretty much only arrived at like 3 models I think that I would strongly consider. Anyway, of course, I think the LG G5 is the one that I'm the most drawn to. I think the TCL QM8K could be a possibility. It's definitely a money saving possibility, because, right, if we look at the price of these things, that's a $5,000 television available. These are retail prices, of course. Some of these as well, I do have access to as a dealer, and we'll see kind of whatever happens as well behind the scenes. But $4,000 for that, compared to, what I think technically the LG G5 is still a $25,000 um, television. Well, 20, that's open box. Actually, it doesn't even show the G5 available on Best Buy. Interesting. Um, for a little while, LG was showing the G2s at 9 grand. They're clearancing out the G2s at 9 grand. A couple folks I think probably maybe some folks that are watching now had brought this up to me in some video comments also. It's interesting that the G2 is still around on clearance, in the G4 97 inches not. So there's that. And then there's also the Sony 98 inch, what is that, 6400 MSRP, now down to 5 grand. But this is a Bravia 5. So it's a bummer. And this is one of the reasons that I'm really drawn to the LG. I think in TCL's case, it's also true that like the 98 QM8K is the flagship television. Their best television model is available in that size. LG, their best television model, the G series, right, is available in the 97-inch size. Sony does not make a 98-inch Bravia 8 or 9, whatever the highest TV model is. And I think some of the other brands are like that as well, that the biggest size is not included in the best quality set that's available from them. And I found that to be a bummer. Found that to be a bummer. So that's a real that alone is a real big draw to the LG. The fact that I'm not bringing the gaming down to the theater. I'm not really interested in gaming down here. I when I want to play games by myself and just jump in and jump out quickly, I'm going to do it upstairs in this living room setup. It's going to be so good up there anyway. When I play with my son, we want to just sit on the couch, fire up the game, get in, play something for a little while, get out, be done. So and the fact that the LG is a really, really strong PC gaming monitor, right, is huge to me. Super low latency, super high refresh rates. With the G5, even we could go beyond 120 hertz. We could be pushing, I think it goes like 165. which is pretty wild. And the OLED just looks so good. To be watching movies up there, I'm going to have a kaleidoscope on it now. I just think the LG is the winner. It's just expensive, and so I need to figure that part out. But again, I love the fact that they make it available. They make the top unit available in the top size. So yeah, $25,000 MSRP. I can access it for less than that. All of these brands, of course, I have different access to them in different ways through my distribution and the folks that I work with. So I can get TCL, I can get LG, and I can get Sony. So no matter what, my prices will be much less to start with, and we'll kind of see how that goes. So in terms of the other equipment, of course, I have the STR preamp already. I don't feel a major need to change this out. I was kind of hoping we might see a new STR out of Anthem at Cedia a couple weeks ago, and we didn't. So I hope that this is a device line that they intend to continue investing into. I would love to see an STR2 with the web interface and some of the operational improvements and stuff that the AVM and MRX models have. I think that would be great, and I would definitely upgrade to that if I could get it. But as it is, I have no problems at all with this unit in terms of how it sounds, how it works. I guess so from that perspective, once it's set up in the and Arc Genesis is ran on the speakers and that, I love it. I'm super happy with this. I already have one NADM23, and I already have two. So there's one running right now. It's a 2-channel amplifier. It's driving the 2 speakers, the 2 focals that are already in the room up there. And I had already bought earlier this year. I bought a second one, thankfully before price increases and stuff happened. But I had bought a second one, and these guys are capable of being bridged. So they are 200 watts into 8 ohm, 380 watts into 4 ohm, and they are capable of bridge mode 700 watts into 8 ohm. So I can do one of two things with the setup here. I either connect the Focal Utopia speaker to the Focal Utopia sub, treat that all as one full range speaker, bridge the M23, treat it like a monoblock, and then run one M23 on one speaker. And then, so the STR would have just 2 full range audio outputs to the 2 amps, set up the 2 XLR connections, set up the triggers, and then Arc Genesis would just basically treat those speakers as full range speakers in a pair. Or I could leave the subwoofer module disconnected from the Utopia speaker module, run the M23s in 2-channel mode, and then basically run. So I'd have two speakers, 2 independent subwoofers, which is what I have right now. So right now my STR has outputs to a single M23, then the other subwoofer outputs go to the 2 rack amps. And I could either do one M23 would amplify the subwoofer portions, the other M23 would amplify the speaker portions, or I could go one M23 is one speaker and one sub, and the other M23 is one speaker and one sub. I need to talk more kind of about this and check out some of the ramifications about is there any reason to do one or the other? Is there any preferable reason to do one or the other of these choices? In cursory discussion with Focal, the recommendation was given to me to run the speaker full range, that you might get better results running the speaker full range. That if you run it full range, then Arc Genesis is a little different. Like if I ran the subs as subs, then it's going to do phase, it's going to do delay and stuff like that. If it's just one full range speaker, then you don't need to do that in the same way. So it'll be interesting to try out maybe, and that affects again also what my wiring setup is going to be. So I think to hedge my bet, I may go ahead and just make sure that I have 2 runs of speaker wire to each side of the wall. And that way, if I go full range speaker, I only need 1 set of that speaker wire. If I go speaker and sub, I've got the 2 sets that I need. And it's already all there. And then, hey, maybe I can even like experiment and run it one way for a while, run it the other way for a while, and play around between the two. But that's my intent there. I'm pretty happy with all of that, and that again, the Anthem, Focal, NAD trifecta has been doing really well for me. I was looking at some other 2-channel amps. They have the Anthem makes their amps. This 2-channel P2, 325 watts per channel. If I wanted to change something out for some reason, or if the bridge mode idea like didn't work well because of impedances and stuff like that, but um, but I don't need to buy that. If I can just use what I have, these guys here, of course, I'm going to stick with what I have. So I have the Apple TV. Worst case scenario, that can go right back up on the wall behind the television. I could keep the Switch the same way. The PC, I want to keep it up there in some capacity. The Kaleidoscope, right now, the Kaleidoscope is down in the rack in the basement, going through a long HDMI cable to get upstairs. I could put that behind the television if I wanted to. That would be 4 sources. The television has 4 HDMI inputs, and I would continue to go optical out from the television back to the STR. That's what I'm doing right now. I can use my Control 4 remote to change the volume, or right now I have like the IR relay extender kit set up to be able to use the Apple TV remote, or if I wanted to, I could use a Kaleidoscope remote also if I were to move it up. But this is really what I was puzzling with. Do I want to move my equipment upstairs? Should I, or do I like the equipment downstairs better? And this is really where some bigger trade-offs come into play. So let me go back. This is what I'm really curious to see, maybe what folks may have an opinion on as well, if you or me, right? So if I look at this room, let's go right here. Let's go this picture. This chair is actually gone. It got kind of destroyed, actually. There's really nothing in this corner right now. We'll probably put another piece of furniture there. The PC is standing up right here next to the bump out, just because that's where it fit to leave it in the room. This table is really unnecessary. This is like a very little kids table, art table, dining kind of table thing that we had. But this space is available to claim it for me for the setup if I think I really wanted to claim it. And what I mean by that is this is like, it's about 50 inches or so wide, I think. And if you measure to about the bottom of the window trim, it's like 20, I forget now, actually. It's escaping me. Mid 20s. Let's just say a little bit over 2 feet, like up to the bottom of the trim. So I could put an AV cabinet right here. And we'll look at what I was looking at in a second. But if I put a stand-up AV cabinet right here, it wouldn't even stick out as far as the table already sticks out. So that would be nice. It would open up this walkway a little bit. I could bring everything up that serves this setup and put it in that cabinet, dedicated. And I could take the stuff off from behind the television and put it in that cabinet over here as well. I would be able to go through the side of the wall for cables and whatnot to get up to behind the television. So if the Apple TV, the Kaleidoscope Strato, the Switch, and the PC were all in or on or around this cabinet over here, there'd be 4 HDMI lines to go up and plug in to the television, because at least for now, the Anthem STR, of course, is not a the Anthem STR is not a it doesn't support HDMI at all. It doesn't even have eARC, let alone an HDMI switcher. And I kind of prefer having those 4 sources go into the television to discrete HDMI inputs. I've talked about this in prior content because I think it's better from the perspective of I can tailor each HDMI input to the device type that's plugged into it. Now, if I upgrade the Switch to the Switch 2, it matters a little bit less. But for right now, anyway, the Switch is a 1080p source. I have like super resolution. I have some of the stuff turned on for that source. that I wouldn't use for any of the other sources. The Kaleidoscape and the Apple TV are video sources. Their inputs are pretty much set to the same type of thing. The PC, though, is set to being a PC input. It has a lot of the game stuff turned on. So I like that separation, and the management of kind of running things that way. Right now, the STR, the NAD amp, the rack amps that serve this room are downstairs. So there's long cable runs. Again, I have to use an IR. I don't know if you can see it here. It's technically right here. A little hard to see. There's a little IR eye. So if I want to change the volume with the Apple TV remote, it goes into there. It goes through a Cat5 cable extender, and it flashes into the back of the STR. If the stuff was sitting right here, I don't need that anymore. I could use any remote that I want to be able to control anything that I want. IR in the room, that would be quite nice. So, but then I would be looking at the stuff. It would be in the room. It would be in a cabinet behind some screen or smoky something kind of cabinet to obscure it a little bit. The lights would be on some of that equipment. Maybe they could just be turned off or minimized. I don't think that's a big deal. They're not. It's not like they're down in front of the screen. They would be over to the left, kind of outside of the field of view of the television and the screen itself. Um, but the things would be everything would be accessible. Everything would be connected. Um, but they would be making heat, right? They'd be making heat in this room rather than the storage room. Um, the PC's already in the room, so fan noise and stuff, I can hear it. Everything else is silent. That's not a concern. The stuff would be getting dusty down in the storage room. It's a closed door room. There's HVAC in there, exchanging the air or whatnot, but there's never any windows open in that space. So, if the stuff is up here, it's right underneath a window. It's going to get dusty. It's going to get pollen in the spring and the summer, right? So there's a little more maintenance perhaps to managing it there. So there's a lot of different like considerations about, is it better to keep your stuff away in a more kind of clean room environment, or is accessibility to that stuff better or nicer in some way? So what I was looking at was a salamander. Pretty much like, I think salamander's like the stalwart of home theater cabinetry. All right, they make some really cool stuff, and they have a lot of accessorizing and flexibility. I think that goes into a salamander. The stuff is built to be strong, right? To be able to hold AV equipment, stuff like that. And so they have a couple different units. They have this is the Synergy Twin 323. So this is 44 and a half inches wide. It would fit right in that space under the window. There'd be like, I don't know, maybe 5 inches to the left and the right of it, to the wall segments that are there. This one is taller. It's 31 inches high. So this will protrude up, I think maybe past the sill of the window a little bit. 19.75 deep, but it's built basically like to be a rack, like a rack space inside. Standard 2 sections, 19.75 inch wide. And I think this is technically, it's a 15U on either side. And if you really want to, like, you can accessorize this thing, man. You can get rack rails in there. So rather than using the shelves, you could actually screw into the rack rails, nice and solid. Yeah, and so 15U would fit the 31 and a half inch tall one. They do also make a shorter one. It's 10U, 17 and a half inches vertical inside. Not as much room, maybe room for about 3 things, right? Where 15U like gets you kind of spread some stuff out and some taller components in there. But man, this thing would fit real nice. It's nicely ventilated, of course, right? With mesh on the front. There's openings in the back for kind of airflow, kind of coming in, coming through. I thought these were vented also on the sides. I guess not. I could always leave the back panel off as well for more venting if I wanted. But this would be really nice. And I was trying to debate as well for myself, like, okay, what can I fit in here? Well, I could get both M23s and the STR in 10U of space. I think the M23 probably needs about like 3 or 4U, and then another 3U probably for the STR. So even if that's 369 fits in the 10U. Um, that may fit. I gotta verify that a little bit more. If I went for the taller one, it would definitely fit. And then I could actually spread the stuff out a little bit, which would probably be better for the equipment. Give it a little more breathing room, heat dissipation, stuff like that. But I could very, very easily do the preamp and the 2 amps on the one side. That was also what was kind of leading me to look at, well, instead of two M23s, maybe I should just do a two-channel beefier amp, but it's one. This is probably like a 6U, so it might even take about the same amount of space. And then on the other side, what would I fit on the other side? Well, maybe I would rebuild the PC. Maybe I would rebuild the PC. So I went and looking for, again, what's the state of PC chassis, particularly like HTCP style. I've used Silverstone in the past, and I know, and Kenneth, all about TKK, did some videos on it actually a little while back. They have a case called the GD11. No, it's not loading on Silverstone. Um, it's a little tighter though, but when I came to their site, oh, come on. I came to their site looking to say, okay, what's new? And I was doing some general web browsing as well. What's new in the HTPC computer case space? I can't load the other one now. It doesn't matter. They had this guy, new case, the Crown 04. And this is the case. This is an awesome. This is exactly like what I want in a case. Massive GPU support, room for 360 millimeter radiators and stuff in here. It's a very simple front face. The bottom folds down, and there's access to the power buttons and USB ports and stuff in there. There's venting on the sides. That's the left side. I think it comes installed with 3 fans that would go on that side. The back, full-size power supply, another fan if you want to exhaust out the back, enough room to fit the big monster 5090, and then the other side, again, vented as well. Vents on the top. You can mount the 360 rad on the top, either blowing in, and then you could exhaust out the back, or blowing out through the rad with the interior, um, the air that's kind of pulled in naturally from the interior. Man, this thing is really, really nice. And dimension wise, right, it fits, of course. It's meant to be, it's meant to be a rack mount case, just big open cavity inside. That's all you want. I don't need chambers. I don't need special stuff. I could take this drive cage out. Just give me one big open chamber inside. Let me load it up with my equipment and load it up with fans. I don't need room for um, extra drives. Here's where the radiator can fit right on top, right above the CPU piece. You'd have fans here, or you could put the radiator over here on the side. Not sure what would be better. If you had the radiator over here and it brings cold air in, that air is going to go over the radiator at the GPU. So your hot CPU air is going to be going into your GPU. It might be better to just have cool air brought in over here and then have this exhaust as well, figuring that this air blows into the GPU and then kind of blows around and hopefully out, maybe out right here. And then you just let air flow this exhaust, you let air flow in this side and it blows out the top. But in either case, 360 rad support. Awesome. 4 USBs, a USB-A's, a USB-C, power reset, all that stuff. So there it is with some components kind of installed. It'll fit the massive video card, no problem. 400 millimeter GPU. So I didn't have to get the Zotac or whatever. Don't have to worry about the vertical mounting anymore. And it's going to be big. It's going to be heavy. This is a big case. It's what is it? 9.41 inches high. So this is going to eat the majority of that cavity, the majority of this cavity. I would put it on the bottom. I wouldn't put it on a shelf. Depth wise, it's okay. It'll fit 18 inches deep. And if we look at the dimensions on the Synergy, the overall cabinet the overall cabinet is 19.75 inches deep. The interior storage, C storage compartment is 18 inches deep. So you get a little more of that depth inside, but again, it can hang out the back a little bit. I probably wouldn't put the back panels on. Just let the back panels, just leave them off, basically, and I think it would work. So it'd be nice if it wasn't quite as deep. If they would have done this at like 17 inches deep or something like that, I think that would have been awesome. 17.32 inches wide. It'll fit in that rack space. But man, this would be nice. And then it's going to get hot in there. Is it going to be too hot for a gaming PC? I don't know. The PC will be airflowed as well. Maybe it would actually be better if these fans on this side are blowing the cool air in. It's probably better actually if the PC went on this side rather than this side, because then it's not pulling hotter air potentially from the amps. It's kind of just pulling air that's coming in and around the PC, and then exhausting up and out. But it doesn't really matter, I suppose. I could do either way. If the audio equipment's on the right and the video equipment's on the left, so be it. If the audio's on the left and the video's on the right, so be it. But I got really excited when I saw this, and because otherwise I'm still gonna have to figure out, where's the PC gonna go? Am I just gonna keep it where it is? Is it gonna stand next to the bump out? I could leave it on that right side. I could leave the vertical case. My wife hasn't complained about it being there. Um, I'll be able to run the HDMI cable through instead of hanging it in the front like it is now. So that'll be clean. The PC can plug in to the wall at where it is. It's got an Ethernet drop where it is, and all it needs otherwise is the HDMI. So there's some real big merits to this. I'd have to consider, like, where do I put the Xbox wireless controller adapter? Because I think I would have to bring the front of this case would have to go right up against the back of the door. And so there's not going to be room to fold this down and leave the wireless adapter in the front. Maybe I get just a little USB extender cable and I put the wireless adapter, like stick it up somewhere towards the front underneath the inside of the cabinet. So lots and lots of options here. And then what else would I put in here? Well, there's a couple other things I'd want to put in here. I'd want to put in some power protection. So sticking with the Wattbox stuff, which I've come to really like, they have, where is it? Yeah, right here. Oh wait, no, that's the faceplate. Sorry. For some reason, their site never. Yeah. Oh, this is an integrated faceplate. Okay. So this is the Wattbox 800. I don't have a 20 amp circuit up there. It's not a dedicated circuit. It's a 15 amp circuit. So this would give me surge protection, a little bit of filtering, all that sort of stuff. Nice readout, all that. We'd have 8 outlets on the back. So let's count it off. STR preamp, amp number 1, amp number 2, PC, switch, Apple TV, Kaleidoscape Strato, and possibly a need to plug in a wired Ethernet switch. That's 8 components exactly. I have to double check. Hopefully the switch isn't a wall wart, because these are all lined up together in the same orientation. But I would toss one of these guys in there, no problem. And then I would toss an Ethernet switch in there as well. Again, don't need much. The STR is networked. The amplifiers are not. So the STR, the PC, the switch, the Kaleidoscape, and the Wattbox itself. That's 5. That's 5 Ethernet lines. And so, most ports, most switches come in 8 ports. Maybe I can get a 5 port, but whatever. I do Unify, do the Ubiquity stuff. Perfect. Here it is. They're 8 port, 2.5 GBE. This is a power over Ethernet. It also has a USB-C power input. So if I did want to just plug it in right there, I could plug it in right there. I would run one Ethernet cable from behind or inside of this cabinet through the wall up behind the television, and I would jack into my Ethernet lines, jacks that are already there that I'm going to retain. And that whole connection could just do PoE as well. Or again, I could plug it in and I'd have the ports that I need to plug everything in. So that right side, or that one side, the video side of this cabinet, needs to hold the PC potentially, which is like 10 inches tall. It would need to hold the watt box, which is pretty thin, like an inch and a half tall, the kaleidoscope and the Apple TV, and then the switch sitting in a dock. And then the network switch could probably even be like attached to the top under the underside of the cabinet or the sidewall or something like that if it didn't sit on its own shelf. I think there would be enough height in there. I'd have to map it out more thoroughly again, but I could get the PC, put the watt box above it on a shelf, and then another shelf where the Apple TV, the Switch, and the Strato E all fit together next to each other. So I don't know. I'm really liking the concept of like having all of this equipment for that room in that room. And then if I ever need to change something, I need to change a wire or pull something. I'm not going all the way down to the rack. Again, it's more purpose specific. It's dedicated, and um, I think it has some really big merits like that. So anyway, that's what I've been thinking about. Curious what the feedback is on that. I'll probably make a more of an edited video about this as well. I kind of wanted to do it on the live stream to be able to spend some more time to do like a bit of streams of consciousness because it's not really kind of decided. But I'll put this out as a regular edited video as well. But this is the exciting part of like specking out a system, all of its pieces, getting it together exactly the way you want it, and this living room system is just, I think it's going to be really great once it's done. Let's see a couple comments on here, and then we'll end up wrapping it up. I'm already past 6 o'clock. Julius, have you thought about adding a whole house lighting arrestor since you have so many electronics? I'm not sure what you mean. I'm not sure what that is actually. A whole house lighting arrestor. Um, I'll have to look that up. We do have we have surge protectors on our circuit breakers, which actually need to be replaced. I don't think they're actually protecting anymore. I have some dedicated circuits around where a lot of some of the electronics and stuff is, but and then where there are electronics, they're protected by the watt box stuff and stuff like that. I still need to install the UPS on the projector back there, but oh, cool. Hey, Scott's here. Welcome. Looking good, man. Thank you. Yeah, I got to get you over here. I need to come to your place as well sometime too. Strin saying, "Oh, don't buy Salamander. Had one. It was not good quality. Get BDI instead." So yeah, ultimately, I think any brand could potentially work. BDI is another one for sure. I would do some more research on this. Um, but I'm given the sizes that I'm dealing with here, I just need a reasonably tall 2-section. Uh, and most of these cabinets are going to be kind of standardized to the like 19-inch rack width and stuff like that. I'm sure BDI and maybe some others as well have similar cabinets that would fit the bill. Srin, I still have 2 U rack shelves from my dealer sold them to me. They had to take back the Salamander cabinet. That's a bummer. High finest. Don't go from OLED to LED. You'll be sad you did. Didn't stick with OLED. Happy with my 97-inch G2. Only regret was getting the 83-inch A90J because it's not a big difference. That'd be tough to go down from 97 to 83 if you had to in the same space. 97 will be nice. It'll be really immersive for games. I won't have a problem watching a movie upstairs at all. Obviously, like I'll be watching the majority, like Peacemaker, right? The streaming shows, the good-looking shows, we tend to watch those upstairs. It'll really maximize that. I'll have the kaleidoscope up there as well. So if I wanted to watch a lossless audio, high fidelity movie source or movie from a high fidelity source, I could do that also. Again, it's our gaming room, and yeah, excited for this. Excited to kind of be done as well because I think I've really arrived at a point that I'm very happy with. Where like this room feels very complete to me now. I might, as time goes by, things will change. New models will come out. I'll consider the Mad VR Mark III potentially over the Mark II. I'm contemplating the screen change. Audio devices rev these chairs and stuff. So there's always something to do. But at this point, once the living room is done to this level and it's set, it'll be on par with the theater to the point where like I have no pressing need to like change to change anything. If I want to swap something out, or I want to upgrade to the new model of something similar that I have when the new model comes along, I have the freedom to do that. But like I won't be jonesing for anything. I won't be like really um, kind of really after anything with the need to kind of change anything. So yeah, that's the project. I need to finish specking this out. So ahead of me now, coming up again, is some more cabinet research and some more mental debate about moving the stuff up. I need to have a full conversation with my wife about it. Is she on board with having the equipment in the living room over there? The PC is going to be up there no matter what. So it actually is kind of nicer to have the cabinet, have the PC inside the cabinet. Are there any pitfalls where what I'm envisioning wouldn't come together properly? So I got to kind of protect and defend against that, because if I lock everything into having the stuff up there and it doesn't work, I got to make sure that I'm committed to that path and I have an out. So yeah, Julius, the arrestor is basically a whole house surge protector connected to your electric panel. Yeah, so we have those. They need to be replaced though. I think that their level of protection has died um, over the 12 plus years or whatnot that we've lived here. That's the general home project that needs to be done. I need an electrician for that and a couple of other things around the house that need to be updated. So I'm going to call it right there. Go get some dinner, spend some family time tonight, and all of that. Thanks everybody for coming out. Thanks for the input, the questions, and comments and stuff. I think I did miss Terminators here. What's up? Not to derail. We were talking about JVC still doesn't have an update on my projector after over 6 weeks at the repair shop. Yeah, that is a bummer. There was some commentary going on with Terminator and another channel community member. I think they were both having some JVC NP5s issues going on. So good luck to you guys getting hopefully resolutions for repairs, replacements, and whatever you need. So as it is, business continues as well here. If I can help anybody with your stuff, please reach out. Jeremy at techthusiasm.net. Go to www.techthusiasm.com. Reach out on any of the other socials with a DM or whatever it may be. Let me know if I can help you. I'm a dealer for a lot of this stuff. I carry a lot of the brands that I particularly like and enjoy, and a whole lot more actually besides those now. Adding more as we go with designs to expand the footprint, expand the offerings, and all of that. So Kaleidoscape, JVC, Seymour, Stewart now, SVS, Focal, Denon, Marantz, Sony, most of those TV brands and stuff, the Wattbox stuff, Strong Racks. What else? What else? If you're shopping Mad VR, please reach out to me first as well. I'm a certified professional specialist, product specialist for the Mad VR, and I have some uh, connections and whatnot, and I'm working on more. So please reach out if I can help you. That's awesome. If you'd like to support me with your business, I so much appreciate it. If I can't help you, I've got other business partners and stuff that I feel totally confident to send you to that will take care of you as well. Please use those regular affiliates as well. I've got affiliate links all over every video. I've got them on my webpage as well. Amazon, Audio Advice, Crutchfield, eBay, Target, Walmart, some apparel stores, other things are in there. Use them in your shopping, give them to your spouse, significant other. If your house is like mine, you got Amazon packages arriving every other day, something or another. Somebody ordered something and it's coming. It's so much appreciated if you'd use those links. Help me fund this stuff, because definitely I've got some money pumping into the setup upstairs. That big TV is going to cost some money as well. And yeah, always much appreciate your business, your patronage is much appreciated. And I just love helping people, getting on the phone with folks, talking about your system, giving my thoughts, giving my thoughts, my feedback, hopefully steering people to good choices and good decisions, effective decisions and maximizing your setups, all that stuff. Please reach out and get in touch and let me be the one to help you and get you on the road to enjoying this hobby even more than you already are, with some awesome upgrades and awesome stuff. So thanks everybody for watching. Stay tuned for the new content. Again, I got a whole bunch of stuff that I need to make. It's just a matter of time to sit down and do it. Got the tvOS 26 stuff coming out, or the OS released, the 26 releases coming out. We'll be doing some content as we go for this living room project. It's going to fill up probably the remaining quarter of the year. Yeah, and more. And then we'll be rolling right into CES and all kinds of new stuff as well after the holidays. So thanks everybody for watching. We'll see you again. Coming back for more home theater discussion and fun. Bye.